I'm a photographer and a polar explorer, and it's difficult to be a polar explorer and an artist and not be sensitive to climate issues when you travel in these regions. So I essentially cover all three. These are my three passions: photography, climate advocacy, and exploration. Once you're immersed and absorbed into an environment where you spend weeks, come months, you really get to appreciate the diversity of views of something that may otherwise look very monotonous. I've been privileged in seeing the ice in many of its subtle faces, if you will. Days of complete whiteout, days of parched light, and everything in between. Immersing yourself in an environment like Antarctica is as close as you'll get to walking on another planet. It's an environment that is completely void of life. It's so antagonistic to any type of biological life. In the summer months, the temperatures up on the plateau never get warmer than -35. There were days with wind chill where it's -70. I was privileged to be actually in areas of Antarctica that had never seen a human footprint. It's quite a rare claim in the age of Google Maps and in today's planet, which seemingly seems smaller and smaller. So what I bring back is actually, I think, a sense of exoticism of a planet that is very much ours, that is shrinking, that is very much exposed and threatened by the human footprint. And it gives us a glimpse of what it was before we were there, and perhaps, of course, what it might look like after we've gone. The immersion into a place like Antarctica is nothing if not a spiritual journey. It's a communion, a profound communion with the environment itself, but also a deep examination of the self. You can really hear your thoughts as well as your heartbeat. You have this symbolic empty canvas, if you will, and it's up to you to fill in the details, both in terms of your psychological makeup, your spiritual makeup, and also your connection with nature and the planet itself. The physical challenges in Antarctica are plenty. It's extraordinary cold, and I spent 82 days crossing the Antarctica ice sheet. I had fairly severe frostbites on my toes. I also broke 2 ribs. It's a very, very hard environment. There's a photo. The photo that you're seeing right now is an image that was taken in -70 weather with about 80-mile-an-hour winds. And I was pinned down. Needless to say, you don't travel under those conditions, but I was pinned down in my tent for about 72 hours. The protrusion of ice that you see there is called sastrugi, and sastrugi are shapes that are defined by the winds of Antarctica, or Greenland essentially has some as well. And essentially one grain of ice at a time sculpts and shapes these forms that are as hard as wood. They look like these sort of soft, ethereal shapes, but actually they're very, very hard, and some of them can reach up to 8 feet in height. It's really interesting because you really get to see another world, and that other world is being formed right before your very eyes. But it is foreboding. There's a tradition of suffering in very cold regions that dates back over 100 years. In fact, even Admiral Peary, when he reached the North Pole, has some fairly blurry but nonetheless telling and revealing images of their first reach of the North Pole in 1909. These very images are some of the ones that inspired me as a child and led me to do what I do today. My flavor of photography is really to inspire them to fall in love with their world, bring them into an exotic environment that they're not likely to ever visit, and help stir something in them that connects them to this very environment, which in the end is just part of the soul. Making that connection, helping people fall in love with their world in order to protect it, is perhaps at the root of my work.